What's up guys? Good to see you on the channel as always. So we're up here at the mulch yard today. Figured I'd start the video over here. One, we are in wide open full mulch production right now, man. This beautiful weather lately, even though we're in late February right now. Even though we're in late February right now, the weather has just gotten a little bit warmer. People already got the fever. Mulch orders are coming in like crazy. So it's super loud over there is what I'm trying to say. So I figured we'd start the video over here and I'll just show you a little bit more in depth how the operations go here at Gringo Mulch Facility. So we had a walk-in floor trailer come in and bring us this pine bark right here. This comes from a local logging facility. We'll take this pine bark, rerun it through one of the grinders to reduce the size of it, and then it'll go into this bin right here. So just reducing the size of it. I'll show you real quick. Like, we're going to put this in our potting mix, so we don't want that big chip stuff as it comes in its natural state. So we grind it up smaller. Then we take some of our wash sand, which I believe we have in this last bin. Yeah, this last bin right here. So this is some of our clean wash sand. We'll mix that with some of our finished compost. You see they just screened a little bit out through the trommel. We'll take the finished compost, mix it with the sand, mix it with the ground up pine bark, and that makes what we call the good stuff. So we branded this name, we trademarked it. This is our good stuff potting mix right here. It's great for raised beds, great for gardens. We actually use it in containers too, growing plants down at the garden center, but just a fantastic soil amendment potting mix. And we use the compost obviously because it has all the nutrients in it, but it also has been through the composting process, so it's free of any weed seeds. All those have been heated up in the composting process, so no weed seeds. And then we use the wash sand, although we're digging it from about 30 something feet deep right now. I doubt there's any weed seeds down there, but we use the wash sand because it has been washed. We don't have to worry about weed seeds in it either. Let's continue walking. Let's go on over here and take a look at the operations a little bit closer up. Probably won't be able to talk too much because it's just so damn loud over here, but see if I can get you some cool shots of all the grinders and trommels that are running right now. So I was flying the drone around just a minute ago. You probably saw a couple trucks dumping out right here. This is the very start of the process. So the trucks will dump out their waste and then they'll take it with the excavator, segregate it out a little bit. Then the trees and all the pine logs and anything, you know, of substantial size will then go into the grinder through the primary grind. That's going through about a 4-inch screen. Good operators like we have here, you see he's always got his eye open for anything metal. We do not want metal going through this rotochopper. It hurts the teeth, just bad all the way around. If some accidentally does get in there, you see we've got a cross belt magnet right there spinning around, and it'll grab the metal and pull it out so it doesn't make it into our final product. standing over there too close to that big grinder, man. That is some violent action going on in that grinding chamber. So I just stuck the camera up over the side just so you guys could see, but I'm not standing there too long because stuff flies out of that thing. I really should have a hard hat on, but well, I don't. Now, after the wood goes through the primary grind, it'll sit and age for a little bit. That'll let the pores in the wood open up. It'll accept the dye more easily. And then once we've let it sit for about a month, then we'll bring it over here to the edge trommel screen and get all the fines out of it. So this is all the material right here that we do not want in the mulch. I know we talked about this the other day with the Let's Dig, when Chris with Let's Dig 18 and Mike with Dirt Perfect were down here. So I'm just gonna briefly kind of go through the whole process, get you some up close shots. Then we're gonna go talk about the compost operation because a couple of you were asking for a little bit more detail on the actual compost. Once it's passed through the trommel screen and we've got the fines out of it, it'll go up this separate radial stacker right here, go into this pile. They'll come over with one of the Hyundai 960s, grab that material. Now it's going to the second time it's passed through a grinder. This is where the dye gets added. Come around here on this side of the pile. It's really loud over there, so I couldn't explain to you, but you can see we got a water line going to a metered pump. That meter pump is tapped into the actual non-toxic dye that we use to make different colors of mulch because, well, people like different colored mulch. So we make browns and blacks, well, a black, a couple different browns, and a red. That tank has a mixer in it, and that water's just coming through there, grabbing the color. It goes right to the grinding chamber, and the color is introduced in that second grind. So something else I should mention too, because we're gonna look at the pallets. Me and Chris and Dirt Perfect kind of forgot to come over here the other day. But these rotochoppers have magnets on them. So they've got one, a cross belt magnet, which you saw, but then also a rare earth head pulley magnet, because we want to make sure that no nails or no metal winds up in our finished product. But let's go over here and take a look at the pallet operation. I'll kind of explain that to you a little bit. So we're over here at our loading dock, and if y'all know me by now, we poured this thing just hodgepodge, piece by piece, with extra concrete coming in. And so instead of going to the block production, we needed a loading dock. So we just poured a little bit here, a little bit here. So that's why you see so many lines all over the place. But Anyhow, what happens here, the trucks obviously will back up to the loading dock, and this comes from companies here locally that are trying to meet their recycling goals and have waste pallets that they need to get rid of. So they will bring them over here to us, we'll offload them. Then they go in this big pit area right here that you see. So we just, the guys will take them off the truck, go right over there, put them over the side of the wall, and fall down into the pit. Then we'll take, I think they're working on it right now. Let me go to this side and show you guys. Yeah, she must be down right now. We got Rolando, he's our resident mechanic over there working on an 826C compactor, just like the ones we use over in the landfill. We'll take that 826C and just use it to reduce the size of the pallets, because as you know, pallets are bulky, and if we just tried to stack them in here, it would be full in no time. So they'll take the compactor, drive down to this end, and just keep pushing up, keep pushing it up, chipping it up, breaking it down, getting it prepared to go into the grinder. This is where it's very important to have all those magnets that I mentioned to you guys on the rotochoppers, because I do not want not one single nail in my mulch, you know, because, well, you certainly don't want to see trash and junk in your mulch. So that's why it's super important to have those magnets to pull out every nail. We'll take all those nails, they go to the landfill in a metal box, and we recycle those as ferrous metal. Now, the pallets will take pretty much the same path that the natural wood will. We'll do a primary grind, let it sit, run it through on a secondary grind, and then that's when the dye is injected. Now, the reason we like the pallets, a lot of our red mulch is mostly pallets, because you can tell the color, you know, the color is just a much lighter wood chip. So the red dye just seems to pop more, just a more vibrant red mulch, and it makes a fantastic mulch. And for you guys that were talking about service, this is just one Connex that we got back here with all of our lubes, greases, tools, that type stuff. It is it's pretty much a constant battle with all the machinery on this entire site, just because of the environment that this heavy equipment is in. It's just constant wear and tear. So we're all time hard facing the metal components, trying to make them last longer. It's non-stop. So all these pallets right here have already been hit multiple times with one of the trash compactors, and so now this stuff right here is ready to be fed right into the big grinder. They'll bring it over here, run it through the big grinder, and then again just the same process that I showed you guys a while ago. I think we got an issue with one of the grinders over here. Let's walk over here and see what's happening. What you got going on, Mr. Brandon?
Got us a piece of metal somewhere.
Uh-oh, setting out the alarm?
Yeah, just can't find it.
So on both of these rotochopper grinders, they got sensors, and when it feels the chatter of metal, then it tells the operator, hey, you got some metal on the belt. Most of the time before it makes it to the grinding chamber, but if you check out some of our other videos, it doesn't always work that well. Austin, what's up, dude? Yeah, well, it ain't making through it yet, but it's somewhere up here. Is there a certain place, Brandon, where it normally picks up on the sensor, or could it be anywhere in here?
Just be right here in the front.
Yeah.
I've had them get stuck in there.
Yeah.
My rotor's still stopping right now. We'll have to lift the power feed up, dig in there and see if it's somewhere, you know, tucked in the corner where we can't see.
Yeah, it could be. All right. So y'all heard Brandon say there's got a piece of metal somewhere in there. We're not exactly sure. It might have already made it into the grinding chamber. But that's why it's so good. Like I showed you guys a little while ago, we got Fern over there on the Cabelco to go through that material and try to pick out as much metal as we can, because it does catastrophic damage. If it's a large enough piece of metal and it makes it into that chamber, it's just a nightmare. And that is not what we need right now with this spring rush. And down she goes. You think it made it into the chamber? Anybody's guess, huh? Oh yeah, I might need that.
Don't want to run that through.
No, let's not run that through the grinder. Although some days I wouldn't care if you did.
Be a lot quieter, wouldn't it?
You ain't kidding. So what's the plan of action, Bubba?
Oh, once that rotor quits spinning, it's still got some good speed to it.
Yeah.
Take that rake, dig it out.
See if we can find it.
See if we can find it.
Okay. So that
sometimes you have to run, keep backing in and out, but we ran out of fuel about the same time this happened, so we can go ahead and fuel up.
Okay. So this might be an ongoing process then.
That's right.
All right. Well, good luck to you. We're gonna go check out the compost.
I like it.
Okay, so they're running low on fuel, so they got to fuel up, and they got to try to find that piece of metal. And it's 4 o'clock, so I'm gonna let them handle that. They'll find it. Hopefully, well, it didn't do any damage because the computer caught it before it actually made it into the danger zone. So they'll find that piece of metal. But I want to show you guys more about the composting operation. Well, the guys are having all kind of fun. It's one of those 4 o'clock deals. Metal in that grinder, out of fuel, and then the hopper for this radial stacker done got clogged up, so we gotta take a rake and get her unclogged. But it's always something, you know, where you're running this wide open trying to meet these demands for orders. Stuff like this just happens, you know. And as long as it's not negligence, which I don't know if they truly ran out of fuel or if they're just low. As long as it's not just negligence, you know, stuff like this just happens. Ain't no sense in getting all bent out of shape about it. We got a good group of guys around here. They'll get everything whipped back into shape, be right back into full production in the morning. Golly, look at the size of this pine tree here, y'all. That is a monster. So we've got a screw attachment that goes on the excavator. We'll come around here, have to bust these up a couple of times in order for them to go through the grinder. But that thing caught my eye. That must be a 100-year-old pine there. That is ginormous. Then we'll make it to the compost, I swear you guys, but I keep seeing stuff that I want to tell you about. So this comes from my cousin's sawmill. These are all the slabs. As he's cutting down his lumber, he can't use the outside part of the log, so he'll bring them here. And then this is what we use to make our kid-safe playground mulch, because we know it's 100% clean. There's not a chance of any other foreign debris being in there. And we grind that up. We change the teeth in the grinder over to knives so that they really chop that material down into nice chunks. And then we have to send it off for testing. And they do like, I call it the bounce test, because what they're trying to do is make sure if a kid falls off a piece of playground equipment that they're not gonna, well, I can't say they're not gonna get hurt, but minimal damage to the child. So they do like cushion bounce test in order to determine whether or not we pass the test. And we have every single time, because, you know, we take the time to make sure we've got good material going in the first place, change those teeth over, and we get a good finished project. That's a material that goes out a lot in the summertime, because schools are closed down. Companies will come in, buy the kid safe mulch and take it to playgrounds while school's out for the summer. Okay, finally we made it back here to the composting operation. It's kind of nice and quiet back here, but just kind of real briefly what's going on here. A lot of the material that doesn't make it into the grinder, all these pine needles and leaves and small sticks and stuff like that, what we do was separate that material out as soon as it comes in on the truck, and then we'll move it back here to a staging area where it'll sit for a little while. It'll go ahead and start to break down. But then we have another thing that I've got to film for you guys. We don't have any, no trucks came in today, but we have got our nitrogen source for the compost is a local hatchery that hatches out baby chicks. Well, not all the baby chicks live and not all the eggs hatch, and they have to do something with that waste. So a lot of times that material just goes straight to a landfill where it gets dumped and wasted. You know, yeah, you do get methane from it, but in my opinion, it's wasted. So we take that material, dump it into a pit area that we've created, nothing fancy, just some concrete blocks and some mulch chips. Dump it into there, and let me tell you, it is in the summertime when that load comes in, it will gag a maggot. Like, it's rotten eggs, baby chicks, Pretty disgusting, but for the composting process, it is an absolute dream of a nitrogen source. So we'll take the chicken waste, mix it with the wood chips, and then we put it into what we call windrows. Well, we've got a bunch of windrows out here, and basically a windrow is just a pile that's probably 200 and so feet long. So we've incorporated the chicken, we've incorporated the leaves, the wood chips, all the stuff that we didn't want in the mulch process. Then the neat part, we buy in bacteria and fungi that help to break down the waste really quickly. So what they'll do, and the form that material comes in almost looks like a mulch, but it's just loaded with gajillions of bacteria. They'll sprinkle that down the top of each windrow and then run a water line down it. It's kind of like a drip hose. And that water, once it hits the bacteria, wakes the bacteria up, and with all that rich nitrogen from the chicken and all the carbon from the leaves and wood chips, it starts to break down extremely fast, and that bacteria goes to work, and heat is produced from that process. And that's how we cook our compost. So the bacteria is just breaking down this material, giving off heat. That's what gets rid of any pathogens or weed seeds. And so the inside of these piles can get up to 150 or so degrees. And Mark, the guy who helps sell the mulch and handles all of our sales, he comes back with a temperature probe, sticks it down in there, and monitors these temperatures to make sure we're getting hot enough and make sure we're staying at that temperature for a long enough time deemed by the state in order to ensure that we've killed all the weed seeds or any pathogens. So once it's maintained those temperatures for the length of time, usually about 30 days, then we'll come back here and we'll flip the windrow. And we'll just take a loader, scoop it, and simply just, well, flip it. But what that's doing is allowing oxygen to get to that bacteria so that it can go through the process again. And what we've done is take the outside of the pile, which isn't, you know, down in the center getting hot and cooking. That'll reincorporate stuff on the outside that hasn't had its turn yet to go through the composting process. That'll kind of reintroduce it, get that stuff on the outside back on the inside, so we can guarantee that the whole windrow has gone through the composting process. So after it gets flipped and we've reincorporated all of that stuff on the outside back into the pile, it'll sit for about another 30 days, and the whole process will happen all over again. It'll heat up, it'll continue breaking down, and the windrow, believe it or not, will actually shrink in size because all that stuff is just decomposing and breaking down. So now we're at about a 60-day point. The material's been back here for 60 days. Now I'm gonna go show you where we take it to get screened and to age. So not too far from where the windrows are, once it's done at 60 days, then we'll bring it over, we'll run it through this Dobstat trommel, and this will just get out any of the larger products and leave us with a nice, I think we're running this through a 5/8 screen right now. This is what we're trying to get out of it right here, guys. So all this chunky stuff right here, this will go back into the composting process, but we don't want that in our final compost. So this is more what we're looking for right here, a nice finely screened compost. So once it's been through the trommel, then what happens, we will stack it in these piles back here. This is where it'll sit and age for about another 30 to 45 days until it's ready for either sale just as compost or to be blended into our potting mix. And I'm not sure if the camera's going to do it justice. This stuff is just black as black can be. Nice, rich, well broke down compost that's about 90 days approximately from the initial windrow. And here's a finished pile of what we this is our potting mix right here. So we call this the good stuff. We trademarked that name, and this is a mix of our compost, the pine bark that we looked at earlier over there in the bins, and the sand. So we mix all those ingredients together. This gives a nice nutrient rich, well draining potting mix. It's nice and light and fluffy, easy to spread in like a flower bed or shrub bed, and works really good in containers as well. Well, yeah, we've made an entire loop around the place, and I'm sorry if I jump around. I kind of see a squirrel and I just go over there, so hopefully that made sense, and I hope I did a decent job of explaining this process a little bit more. If I didn't, drop us a comment down there below and I'll do my best to answer it. Appreciate you guys watching as always. Hit that like down there for me. Subscribe if you hadn't already. And then there's still a couple of days left too to win yourself an autographed Dirt Perfect and Let's Dig hat on the channel. Other than that, it's Beer 30. I'll see you guys on the next video.